Once upon a time, in the heart of a big city, lived a little squirrel named Sammy. Sammy was no ordinary squirrel. He was the most curious squirrel in his family. While his brothers and sisters spent their days gathering nuts and their nights sleeping with their mother, Sammy would spend his time exploring the city, looking for adventures. One sunny afternoon, Sammy was scampering around the branches of a large oak tree when he noticed something strange. There were three bright yellow objects hanging from the tree, and they had strange symbols on them. Curious, as always, Sammy climbed down the tree and approached the objects. He sniffed them cautiously and realized they were made of metal. Then he looked up and saw a tall, thin metal thing attached to the objects. Sammy had never seen anything like this before, but he was a brave squirrel, so he decided to investigate. As he got closer, he noticed that the tall metal thing had a letter on it. It was the letter A. Sammy didn't know what the letter A meant, but he was excited to find out. So he started pushing it with his nose. The moment he touched the letter, the metal thing spun around, making a loud noise. Sammy jumped back in surprise, then quickly climbed up the tree to hide. From his hiding spot, he watched as the yellow objects moved slightly in the wind. They were actually kites. And the tall metal thing that made such a loud noise was a pinwheel. Sammy had seen kites before, but he had never seen a pinwheel. And he couldn't believe how beautiful it was. He wanted to get closer, but he was still a bit scared. Just then, one of the kites came loose and floated down towards Sammy. He watched as it landed softly on the branch in front of him. Taking a deep breath, Sammy climbed down the tree and approached the kite. He had so many questions. What was a kite? Why was it in the park? And who put it there? But before he could start his investigation, he heard a loud voice. "Hey, you can't go near the pinwheel." Sammy turned around and saw a big, mean dog running towards him. Sammy was scared, but he knew he couldn't just stand there and do nothing. He had to be brave. Thinking quickly, Sammy grabbed a leaf and started making a funny face. The dog stopped and looked at Sammy. Then, as if it had changed its mind, it started wagging its tail and licking Sammy's face. Sammy was surprised, but he quickly started playing with the dog. They chased each other around the tree, and Sammy even let the dog lick his face a few times. After a while, the dog stopped licking Sammy and started sniffing around the base of the tree. Sammy followed the dog, and soon they both found a small hole in the ground. The dog barked twice and then disappeared into the hole. Sammy, being the curious squirrel that he was, followed the dog into the hole. Inside, it was dark and dusty. Sammy couldn't see anything, but he could hear the dog moving around. Suddenly, the dog started barking again. "Come on, Sammy. Hurry up," the dog said. Sammy struggled to move forward in the darkness, but eventually he heard the sound of rushing water. He got closer. He could hear the dog panting heavily. Sammy reached the water and he felt something wet on his nose. Looking around, he realized he was in a cave, and the rushing water was coming from a small waterfall at the end of the cave. And in front of the waterfall was a pool of water. In the middle of the pool was a rock, and on top of the rock was a shiny metal thing. Sammy recognized it immediately. It was the letter B, just like the letter A. It was also attached to a kite. This must have been the second kite. Sammy wanted to investigate further, but he knew he couldn't do it alone. He needed help. So he started calling out for the dog, but the dog wasn't anywhere to be seen. Sammy waited for a bit, but when the dog didn't come back, he knew he had to be brave and find the next kite all by himself.